Welcome to Standard Voice News Channel. I am Samira Ibrahim. Here are your top stories for today. The Zamfara state government says it has not recorded any new case of coronavirus in the last 14 days. Nigeria recorded highest daily increase in COVID-19 cases as infections surged past 13,000. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved a freeze to the gazetting of Executive Order 10 in Nigeria. On business, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has offered to fund 1.6 million farmers in the wet season across the country. And on the international scene, condolence message on the death of President Pierre Nkurunziza of Burundi. Now the news in details. The chairman of the State COVID-19 Task Force, who is also the Speaker, Zamfara State House of Assembly, Alhaji Nasiru Ma'azu Magaria, said the state has not recorded any new case of coronavirus in the last 14 days. A statement issued by the Secretary, Publicity Subcommittee of the State COVID-19 Task Force, Malan Mustafa Jafar Kaura, said Magaria made the disclosure in Gusau when he received the donation of 35,000 pieces of hand-washing soap donated by Sight Savers International. He described the feat as a welcome development, considering the collective effort from stakeholders who have contributed in fighting the menace. He said the two COVID-19 isolation centers established by the state government remained closed. He, however, said that despite the successes recorded, the state government will not rest until all traces linked to the disease in the state are eliminated. The Speaker thanked the organization for the donation and promised to distribute the items judiciously. He expressed satisfaction with the prompt response of some donor agencies in the state to the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. Earlier, the country director of the NGO, Dr. Sunday Isiaku, said the donation was part of their corporate social responsibilities to complement the state government effort in the fight against the spread of the coronavirus in the state. Dr. Isiaku, represented by state team leader of the NGO, Mr. Ahmad Ibrahim, said Sight Savers is working in all the 14 local government councils in the state, fighting tropical diseases such as trichoma and elephantiasis. Meanwhile, the management of the State School of Nursing and Midwifery has also donated 400 face masks and hand sanitizers to the task force as part of its contributions to prevent the spread of coronavirus in the state. The Accord Party said on Tuesday that it will not withdraw the case it instituted in court challenging the conduct of the 2019 local government elections in Zamfara, despite the dissolution of the councils by Governor Bello Muhammad Matawalle. The state chairman of the party, Alhaji Siraju Bungudu, stated this at a press conference in Gusau on Tuesday while reacting to the recent dissolution of councils and appointment of caretakers by the governor. He said their case challenging Zamfara State Independent Electoral Commission over the 2019 local government election in the state is still in the State High Court. The chairman said they are challenging Zamfara State Independent Electoral Commission in court because it didn't notify them as a political party before conducting the election as required by the law. The Federal Capital Territory FCT Joint Task Force on COVID-19 has intercepted a truck with 474 bags of dried leaves suspected to be cannabis. The police public relations officer in the FCT, DSP Anjuguri Manza, said in a statement that the arrest was made by the enforcement team on restriction of interstate movement. He said the team posted to FCT Kogi boundary in Abaji intercepted the truck and arrested 4 suspects. While inspecting the recovered exhibit, the chairman of the task force and commissioner of police in charge of FCT, Mr. Balachi Roma, commended the operatives for their vigilance and encouraged them to sustain the tempo. DSP Manza said that the intercepted truck was transporting the illicit drugs from Auchi to Zamfara State. The PPRO said the suspect had used tiles to conceal the illicit drugs from being detected by security operatives. He said the suspect and the exhibits recovered had handed over to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) for further investigation and prosecution. Governor Abdullah Umar Ganduje of Kano State has commended the National Assembly House of Representatives for lending their voice on his call for revising ECOWAS protocol to ban the infiltration of herders from West African countries and other parts of Africa into the country. It could be recalled that in Tuesday's plenary session, a motion was moved by Rep. Nude Ilumelu PDP Delta, urging that federal government should ban entry of herdsmen from other African countries to Nigeria. The motion was unanimously adopted by the House. Governor Ganduje said the call by the House for the federal government to put a stop to that movement of foreign herders through revisiting of the ECOWAS protocol is apt and patriotic. He explained that could help in containing crimes and criminalities allegedly brought by such herdsmen, emphasizing that we have to commend our national legislators for their show of concern to the security of lives and properties of our countrymen and women. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control (NCDC) on Tuesday announced 663 new positive cases of coronavirus COVID-19 in the country. The figure is the highest daily increase since the country started reporting coronavirus cases in February and bring the total number of confirmed cases in Nigeria to 13,464. According to the NCDC, Lagos State recorded the highest number of infections for the day in the country with 170 cases, while Ogun and Bauchi had 108 and 69 cases respectively. A further breakdown of the new cases showed that Ebonyi State had 49 infections, Edo 33, Rivers 30, FCT 29, Jigawa 26 and Delta 20. Others are Anambra 17, Gombe 16, Kano 16, Imo 15, Abia 14, Borno 11, Oyo 11, Plateau 8, Kebbi 6, Kaduna 6 and Ondo 4. The rest are Niger and Katsina had 2 cases each, while Ogun, Ekiti, Kwara and Nasarawa recorded 1 case each. Of the number of positive cases in Nigeria so far, 4,206 persons have fully recovered and have been discharged, while 365 persons have died. Amid COVID-19 pandemic response, Governor Abdullah Umar Ganduje of Kano State directed healthcare workers in both primary and secondary health facilities across the 5 emirates in the state to work on full capacity so as not to abandon such services because of the other engagement for COVID-19. He gave the directive during an occasion for the revitalization of healthcare service at primary and secondary healthcare facilities across 5 emirate councils, which took place at Rangaza Equipment Store, Ungogo local government area on Tuesday. He urged the primary health facilities and secondary health facilities to go back to work on full capacity and advised them not to be affected by COVID-19 so that they don't neglect other patients and make the health facilities underutilized. That, according to him, was done on the basis of the 5 emirates in the state, so as to effectively put them in the line of effective health care delivery system for the overall development in the sector. The presidential order seeks to force state governors to ensure financial autonomy for local government areas in the state legislature as well as the judiciaries. Briefing newsmen in Abuja, Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State on Monday said after a meeting with himself and some other governors and ministers, including Mr. Buhari's Chief of Staff, Ibrahim Gambari. He said the option now is to suspend the implementation of the Executive Order 10 signed by the President last month. Despite signing the order and based on the intervention of the governors, President Muhammadu Buhari has now suspended its implementation. The order mandates the Accountant General of the Federation to deduct from source amounts due to the state legislatures, the local government areas and judiciaries from the monthly allocation to each state for states that refuse to grant such autonomy. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, said the Executive Order No. 10 of 2020 made it mandatory that all states of the Federation should include the allocation of both the legislature and the judiciary in the first-line charge of their budgets. According to Mr. Malami, in the May statement, a presidential implementation committee was constituted to fashion out strategies and modalities for the implementation of financial autonomy for the state legislature and state judiciary in compliance with Section 121, subsection 3 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has approved direct primary for the All Progressives Congress, APC, to select its candidate for the September 19 governorship election in Edo State. The APC headquarters had approved direct primary, while the Edo chapter of the party wanted indirect primary. Direct primary involves voting by all members of the party, while only delegates vote in the indirect primary. The primary is fixed for June 22nd amidst the feud between the Edo governor, Godwin Obaseki, and his predecessor and the APC national chairman, Adams Oshomole. Mr. Oshomole is believed to be backing another APC aspirant, Osagi Ize-Iyamu, for the party's ticket. According to an INEC statement released on Tuesday, while APC will be conducting direct primary, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and 13 other parties have opted for indirect primaries. The Speaker, House of Representatives, Mr. Femi Bajabiamila, is to intervene in the planned strike action by the resident doctors and other health workers' union so as to convince them not to embark on a planned strike at this time. Mr. Bajabiamila said the leadership of the House will not fold its arms while resident doctors embark on strike at this time of COVID-19 pandemic. The Speaker said this at a meeting that lasted for about 3 hours with the two Ministers of Health, Dr. Osagi Ehaniri and Olorumimbe Mamora, the Director General of Budget Office, Ben Akabuzi, the President of NAD, Dr. Sokomba Aliyu, the Secretary General of Nigeria Medical Association, NMA, Dr. F.P. Phillips, among others. NAD had issued an ultimatum to embark on strike on Monday next week following what it said was government inability to fulfill certain obligations as agreed in the Memorandum of Understanding. Part of the issues in contention, as narrated by the chairman of the House Committee on Healthcare Service, Rep. Tanko Yusuf Sununu, were outstanding payment of hazard allowance, arbitrary disengagement of 23 doctors at the University of Just Teaching Hospital, non-provision of life insurance despite the deaths of some doctors from COVID-19, non-provision of personal protective equipment (PPEs), reduction of doctors' salary by the Kaduna State Government, doctors' residency training, among others. But Bajabiamila, in his intervention, appealed to NAD to tarry a while as government was working assiduously to meet their entitlement, but noted that the House could not intervene in the issue of doctors in Kaduna State as it is not under its jurisdiction. Mr. Bajabiamila also hinted that if need be, the House will come up with a law that will not only back the payment of hazard allowance, but will also define same for clarity. As a House, will keep taking steps to avoid strikes. This meeting will give the opportunity to holistically address the issue at stake. The federal government has inaugurated the operation of Dukia Gold and Precious Metal Raw Materials Buying Program, the country's first gold and precious metals refining company. During the inauguration, via a Zoom virtual meeting, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, explained that Nigeria has the potential reserves of 200 million ounces of gold, and the commencement of the project will create new opportunities locally and beyond, especially after post-COVID-19. According to Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the Dukia Gold and Precious Metal Refinery project, championed by the High Commissions of Nigeria and Canada, has been 7 years in the making, and it is his pleasure to see that the project ready to begin operations. It is said that Nigeria has potential reserves of 200 million ounces of gold, and the launch of this expansive project, Dukia Gold, creates new opportunities for us to mine these reserves properly, trade responsibility, and refine locally. He said, what they are looking at here is an extremely valuable new source of trade, jobs, and foreign exchange. This project will create primary employment for local artisanal miners and mining cooperatives and across the solid minerals value chain. Offtake agreement between Dukia Gold and local mining communities and owners of recyclable gold will be a useful provider of jobs, in our post-COVID-19 economy. Professor Yemi Osinbajo further explained that the official launch of the project will also birth the nationwide Dukia Heritage Bank Gold and Precious Metals Buying Centers as part of the valuable private sector collaboration to help encourage a culture of recycling mineral waste. The overlong clash between the two political moguls has the potential to curb Governor Obaseki for his second-term run as the governor of the state and most likely prevent APC from winning the forthcoming governorship election in Edo State. The governor said he does not have a rift with Oshomole as a person, he just does not agree with how some decisions are taken as it relates to the party. Some of the decisions are not in the interest of the party. In more enunciation, Mr. Obaseki said Mr. Oshomole has been a disruption to the decision-making process of the APC in Edo State and also stalling its progress. He said their quarrel has been that they are doing things that are outside the constitution of the party. He said the logic of democracy is that it's the people that should drive democracy. He said democracy should be built bottom up and not bottom down. Democracy should start from the base. So, in the last 4 years, Edo State has restructured the party. We have built from the unit, through the wards, through the local government areas, and to the state. The All Progressives Congress APC in Bauchi State has suspended Senator representing Bauchi North, Adamu Bulkachua, over alleged neglect of constituency for over 6 months since his inauguration. The executives of Rafin Kuka, Kofar Gabas ward of Katagum local government area of Bauchi State, announced his suspension on Tuesday. The ward chairman Saadu Muhammad told reporters at the party zonal secretariat the senator had deserted the party and the constituents since his inauguration as a member of the National Assembly. The ward chairman said Bulkachua never deemed it good to visit the area to commiserate with them on the outbreak of coronavirus, mass death, and or give any donations. The demand and aspiration, pain and agony, needs and wants of the people of Katagon senatorial constituency is pitiable because of the senator's gross misconduct and failure to table it where it matters most, that is the Senate chamber. Senator Bulkachua has disappeared into thin air, evidently deserted his constituency for over 6 months now. No iconic presence or project from him is cited in his constituency all this while. On business, over to Fauzia.
Hello there, welcome to Standard Voice Television Business Update. The CBN Director, Development Finance Department, Mr. Yile Yusuf, said the bank plans to assist 1.6 million farmers in the wet season across the country. Mr. Yile Yusuf made this known during a flag-off of farm input distribution for cotton farmers for the planting season in Kwale, Abuja on Tuesday. Represented by Mr. Ayola Kadri, the director planned that the bank will finance the farmers under the bank's 10 focal commodities, which will cut across the value chains and guarantee food security in the country. On cotton production, Mr. Yele Yusuf said CBN has engaged 256,000 farmers in cotton production for 2020 planting season through its borrowing program, which were expected to repay the loan at 5%. He said the bank was working hard to revive cotton, textiles and garments, CTG industry to create jobs and boost the economy of the country. Mr. Yusuf noted that the CBN was doing a backward integration to ensure that the entire value chain in the industry was funded for the benefit of the people and the country. The President, National Cotton Association of Nigeria, Mr. Anibe Achimugu, noted that with the Borrowers Program ABP facilities provided by CBN, the farmers were witnessing the turnaround in the production output. He urged beneficiaries to pay back the loan to enable others to benefit, while expressing hope that more people would be brought to the same in 2021. The president said 2,200 farmers who were grouped into clusters had benefited from CBN's intervention in the FCT, Abuja. And that's all on the business updates. I am Fawza Ibrahim. Have a nice day.
And on the international scene, President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed his profound grief and sadness on the death of President Pierre Nkurunziza of Burundi. He said he received the news of the death of President Pierre Nkurunziza with a rude shock. President Muhammadu Buhari said President Nkurunziza was a true patriot that steered the country through turbulent times with wisdom and foresight. At this time of great pain and loss, the government and people of Nigeria, as well as himself, expressed their deepest condolences to the government and people of Burundi. He said Nigeria's thoughts and prayers also go out to the family of the president. May God grant them the fortitude to bear the loss. That has been the news from Standard Voice Television. To end the news, a quick look at the major headlines. The Zamfara state government says it has not recorded any new case of coronavirus in the last 14 days. Nigeria recorded highest daily increase in COVID-19 cases as infections surged past 13,000. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved a freeze to the gazetting of Executive Order 10 in Nigeria. On business, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has offered to fund 1.6 million farmers in the wet season across the country. And on the international scene, condolence message on the death of President Pierre Nkurunziza of Burundi. That's the news. On behalf of the production crew, Head of News and Current Affairs Department, Ibrahim Garbatunau, I am Samira Ibrahim, wishing you a pleasant day. Keep watching Standard Voice Television News. Goodbye.